Now, so far we focus on getting data either from a file or from an external API. But what about when we need to receive data from the user? How does a user sign up for an account, post a comment, or submit a contact form? So this is all handled with the different types of HTTP requests, the post request. So today's lesson is all about how to handle this incoming data in Node.js. So far, our web application have had one-way conversation. So the browser says get me this page or get me this weather, and our server responds. So now the get request is used to request data from the server, and then the data that you're sending in the server, like maybe a city name, is visible to the URL. So it's like asking a question out loud in the library. So it's not private, and it's actually meant for fetching information. Now, we do have post requests that is used to submit data to the server to be processed. So the data is sent securely in the body of the request, not in the URL. This is how you'll send passwords, form details, or any other data that we create or update something on the server. So it's like handling the library in a sealed envelope with your request inside. Now, to handle a post request in Express, we need a special piece of code that can open the sealed envelope and read its content. So this is called middleware. Now, a middleware is in Express is a function that has access to the request. So the response and the next function in the application's request response cycle, it can execute code, make changes to the request and response object, and at the end of the cycle it will pass control to the next middleware. Think of it like a bouncer at a club. So the request arrives, so let's say maybe a person wants to enter, and then the bouncer, which is the middleware, checks their ID, makes sure that they are dressed up appropriately, and then the bouncer can either deny entry or end the request or let them pass through to the club. Okay, now Express has the built-in middleware to pass incoming request bodies. So the one that we need for HTML form is express.urlencoded. Now the second thing that we need to do, we need to make a directory. We need to make a directory called a public, and then we'll also make a directory called views. Now in public we're gonna make two files. So we're gonna have guest new okay, we want this to be in public. So that's gonna be the form page, and then we want to create another file called it has to be in views, not public. It has to be in views, and then we're gonna have another file called success, like some sort of thank you page. Right, so I'm gonna go to public and just delete this file here, because now we have these two files. And then we will make another file in the root directory. Let's just call it server post.js. Now in views, we want to go to guestbook.egs, and then we want to make our template. req.body. We'll come back and do the style. We're gonna have the container, and then we're gonna have h1, and then we're gonna assign the guest book. And then here we're gonna have the form. Action is submit, and then we also need the method, which is post. Right. Then we're gonna have maybe the form group. And then have input, it is type of text, so that's gonna be so let's go and add this style. So let's go and add this style somewhere here. So first we're going to select the body, which is font family, and I'm going to go with sans serif. Going to have the background. Just make it slightly off-white. And we can add the background, which is white, and then the heading maybe about 400 pixels. Right, and then we're gonna take h1. We only need h1. We only need to center it. It takes align center. And then we can check the form group. And just do the margin bottom. Let's make it about 15 pixels. And then we can take the label. Block, and then we can also do the margin bottom. Let's make it 5 pixels, and then finally we can take the input and the text area, and we're going to apply the width of 100%. Padding of 8 pixels, Alright, and then finally the button. So the width is also going to be 100%, and then heading, let's make it 10 pixels, and then the background color, we can make it that light blue color, and then the color will be white. Then maybe we can also add the font size. (16 pixels). Alright, I think we are good with this file here. Alright, and then in Success, now in Success, let's edit it out as well. So this is Success. So we don't need a lot of things, so we're just gonna have the container, and we're gonna have h1, and thank you. Gonna have then we need an anchor here, and we can just say go back to the guest. I think the container with the body we can actually copy the same style for the body. I think the container we can also copy the same style. The container we can also copy the same style, and maybe the h1, so both the container and the h1. Alright, and then I think the only style that we need to do is the block code. So we'll add the background. I actually wanted to add border left because this is a quotation, and so we can just make it 5 pixels solely. What color can you use? We can just use a slightly gray, 10 pixels. Alright, so the last thing is gonna be just that anchor. Again, we're not gonna do a lot, just need to apply the color All right, now we can go to server post and we import express from express, and then import chalk from chalk. All right, and then so now, and then we need the middleware. See, this is the key part. This middleware will pass the body of the the incoming post request and then make the data available in the request body. All right, so we'll just do app.use and then express.url encoded. And then we're going to have in-memory database to store the guestbook entries. Some might call it entries. And then we need to specify our routes. So the first is, this one is to display the guestbook form. And then the second route is, so this is a get route. Let me just make comment get, and then the second one is actually the post route. So this will handle the form submission. App.post. So the post form data is available in the body. So we can say const with new entry. Visitor name. I think that's what we call it. This is a name, and then the second, the message. And then we need to render the success page. And then finally we need to start the server. And then we can just say server post. Okay, so I just have an error of cannot find module NodeJS. So when we installed, I think let's do this. So what we can do, run npm install express.js. Alright, so we can run this again and see. Let's visit our browser. Alright, now we can see the form. Let's say your name, put my name in there, and then message this is the example of post request, and we can just sign there, and I can see now that I'm getting the data back. So this is working fine. Now you just need to make sure that all your files are in the correct places, and then you run with the terminal, you go to localhost, and then you fill out your name and message. So the browser actually makes a post request to submit, and then our Express server using the express.urlencoded middleware will pass the data. Our app.post route will handle it, and then you'll be redirected to the success page showing the data that you entered. So we've learned the difference between get and post. So we've learned about middleware in Express and used the built-in express.urlencoded to post a form data. Now the post data from a post request is made available in the req.body object. So we created separate routes for app.get, and then to show a form, and then app.post to actually post the submitted data. Right, so we now have the skills to build full interactive web applications where users can both retrieve and submit information. So this is a massive step forward.